another day, another stupidity. Can't believe that when feminism really gets their teeth into something, they, just like a badger, they just won't let go until they hear that final crunching sound. This morning on my Twitter feed, the Mashable website had picked up an article with 614 shares under the headline Entertainment, and the title is "Nice try Hollywood, but a female superhero won't solve your gender problem." Now this goes back to a big stupidity that feminism has latched onto, and it was a survey made in 2013 by some lady. I'm gonna come through to that name. I'll link to the article below where that lady's name is as well. She was doing some kind of study from California's University of Journalism or something, and it's the myth that it's the Hollywood's fault, it's the producer and filmmaker's fault for what we want to see in the world. Now, they go list through a lot of stupid shit here. I'm not gonna be too long here, but I must admit I agree with feminism in one point. There are very few main female superheroes, but there are still a ton of them. But feminists are hell-bent on marginalizing the existing heroines that are out there, who all have their own unique background stories, enemies, friends, relationships, troubles, that have careers spanning decades. They have that big involvement. But no, that's not good enough for feminism. They need Thor to become a woman. They need to make the male superheroes a woman because the female superheroes aren't enough. I don't know what the difference is. They are both fighting the same issues in different shapes and formats. But I'm getting a little bit aside on the topic. My main issue, as someone working with doing film production, post-production, trying to make stories, making visual presentations, making it look good, making it look presentable so that as many as possible are interested in it, I understand where the fault comes with the top 100 grossing films in Hollywood is. It's not Hollywood's fault. It's not the producer's fault. It's not the director's fault. It's not the actor's fault. It's not the scripting fault. It is us, the people. It is what we want to see. There is an abundance. I kid you not. There is an overabundance, especially from the British Film Institute, producing all these films that the feminists, the progressive people want to see. They produce them by the hundreds every single year, but no one wants to go and see them. And these films aren't being shunned away to a very, very small theater. They're not being shunned away into the middle of the night where no one would be able to watch it. They're giving prime time. They're giving the finest theaters, the finest venues to launch their films, but people are simply not interested in watching it because they're shit. I watched several of them trying to figure out if there is something to take out of it, because I do work with films. I work from the curiosity angle. I need to know what would entice or attract or get someone interested in watching a film. And I'm sorry to say, but the feminist and the LGBT and the special snowflake community idea of, oh, why aren't you catering for films for me? We already are. And we're producing a lot more films of them than we're focusing on creating big, good films that everyone enjoy overall. But no one wants to watch it because they're absolute shit. And that's the scary thing. But they go on and listing this thing that, in this article, that, let's see if I'm getting this correct now. Marvel got a big hit with their Guardians of the Galaxy, so Disney and everything. So therefore their competitor, Sony Entertainment, decided to leak a rumor to try and appease the idiots. Because there is no other way of labeling the feminists that are shouting for this. There aren't enough women, or there aren't enough film with more female main leads and whatnot. They're just idiots. But Sony is trying to appease them. So apparently in 2017 we will now see a female superhero from the Spider-Man universe. Now, I don't understand really what the concept would be there. We do have quite a lot of female characters that are superheroes all on their own. They are talking about Black Cat, which would be sort of funny to see, but I personally find Black Cat as more of a comedic side character. She has her own universe, her own idea, but she's been nothing more to me from my Spider-Man upbringing than just a funny character. I never really saw her as a cute girl or whatnot. It was more like she had cool powers, but there wasn't really much you could do to play around with them. I love the idea of it. I'm not going to give them away here if you haven't experienced Black Cat or anything, but I would say Spider-Man's from the 1990s is pretty good. They got quite a lot of Black Cat in them. Alright, so let's move on. Now, this article is trying to support its claim of the outrage that Hollywood is so untuned to this thing. And the best screen capture they have from Twitter is someone an account called Perfect Plots. And their tweet says, really, just any female superhero at this point. Like, this is 5th of August 2014. Let me just put it out there. We have had dozens of female superheroes already, even as main characters in their own films. Just putting it out there. We have already produced them. But apparently this has such weight. It pulls such extreme weight. It has 3 retweets and 1 favorite. Now, I get more of that when I take a picture of my food on my Twitter account. Right, so they're trying to list a little bit back and forth, and I don't know what the film Lucy is, but apparently it did better than Hercules, and I can't really say I'm enticed to see either of these films. I don't know what Lucy is, I haven't seen a trailer for it, so I don't really know what the film is about. It just hasn't caught my attention. I've seen the posters. Could be good, could be bad. I may get around to it in the future. Hercules, CGI, VFX, looks cool. May watch it when it comes out on TV in 2 years' time. And then we have the obligatory lists, as I was saying, where we're going through lists. And I love the fact that they're still trying to attack Star Wars for trying to build a hype by bringing in its old cast, which had a lot of guys in it. But it was trying to bring in its old cast and then slowly revealing, because casting was still in process and the feminist fucktards don't take that into consideration, that the roles were not yet determined, they were already written, but no one is going to reveal that to the public because that would reduce the amount of people that would go and see the film, even though there is something as popular as Star Wars. But they're still bitching because they're apparently only following the 30% line of balance. So there are 30% women in a film and then there's 70% male. Who gives a fuck if the film is really entertaining and get as many viewers as possible? Something that feminism, the LGBT special snowflakes community need to realize, they're an extremely small number. There is absolutely no profit in catering to them. Even adding the supporters, the manginas, the beta males, the every idiot and pack them in there, there is still not enough of these idiots to make it valuable to make a big film, especially in a big genre like Star Wars. You have to play the most profitable role that will get it to as many people as possible, because they themselves will then spread it to as many others as possible. That's how you build success, not by playing to a minority, but playing to something that as many as possible will enjoy. And here I will tell you something. There are thousands upon thousands of the, I would say, women rather than feminists, the LGBT community, and even some special snowflakes that actually do enjoy the big top 100 grossing films. Sorry about confusing words there. But there are thousands upon thousands of them that actually do enjoy these films because they're good. Now, produce a good film yourselves. Stop complaining that there isn't a top 100 that isn't breaking this norm. There's a reason these top 100 have a very extremely similar formula. They are all working. They're not top 100 as in pulling in money because they are special or they have a unique story. They're top 100 because the most people went to see them. It's the amount of people going to see the films that makes it into top 100. Produce a good film and it will end up in the top 100. If you don't produce a good film, it will not end up there. I can guarantee you, if we start looking at the bottom 100,000 films produced in 2013, we will find hundreds, if not thousands, of these lesbian, gay, transgender, special snowflake, autism, all these things that few people really care about or find engaging or actually want to see. It's the equivalent of what they joked about in American TV shows during the early 90s of that girl, that cute girl that had that special interest of going and seeing black and white foreign films without subtitles. Now, for someone in America or even in UK, I must say British people and the American people are appallingly poor. They're bad at learning another language. So there is no enticement, there is no value, no entertainment value to go and see these things. And it's the same with all of these films that are being produced. But don't take my word for it. Go to the British Film Institute website. See how many feature films, what they are really producing. I think it's called BFI Flair, that really highlights all this film that have been produced and is produced, and where they give the money to the new productions of all these films that really that many people will not see. They're basically putting money down the toilet because the production value of the films is usually a lot higher than the revenue back from people watching it will actually ever be. Anyway, we're going on here. They had one more thing that I saw in the listing. Yes, the name of the person doing the review or the article about the top 100 grossing films in 2013 reviewed 4,506 speaking parts and found that only 29.2% of them were actually played by women. Now, that was lower than the previous results from early years apparently, but what can you say? I don't know why we're less interested in seeing many women on the screen rather than just a few. That I can't give you, but in the top 100 of the 100 films in the world in 2013 that the most amount of people went and saw, they weren't that interested about what women had to say and had to do. And here's just a random thought that just popped into my mind. The population of this planet, I may have to Wikipedia this later on and try to find the real sources, but I know that in Sweden the balance between males and females is 52.4%. Females versus 47.8, 47.6 or something. There are more women than there are men on this planet. a lot more. When you take that number, that 4% gap or whatever it is, and spread it across this entire planet, you'll find that there are hundreds of thousands, if not up to 100 million more women. Sorry, my math is not really that good, but I know that there are a lot more women on this planet than there are men. So women in large masses have to go to these top 100 films. They have to give their money, their support, their vote to these films, however you see it. Because it doesn't matter where you air these. If the film is interesting, people will go and watch it. That reminds me, Sharknado, I have no idea what that film is all about, but it has the biggest buzz of the century, I would say, of the millennia. And I can't see that film is any different from anything else that we've seen. The formula they're trying to say here. If anything that this Annenberg has done is to prove how you make a successful film in terms of what sells. So I would say that this, while she's bitching that there isn't enough women, I would say there you have the perfect cookie cutter recipe of how to get the most amount of money, because most amount of people will go and see this. And this is not just in one country, in a small little cultural niche somewhere. This is globally, the top 100 globally winning films. So that means that you have UK culture mixed with Spanish. You have Brazilian culture mixed with Icelandic culture. You have, I don't know, Australian culture mixed with Russian culture. You have cultures from all over the globe, different upbringings, different way of thinking and rationalizing things. And yet they all say the same: these films are more interesting to go and watch. This is what we would like to put our hard-earned money on. And let's face it, I'm not gonna pay 15 quid plus to go and see a film that is shit. I want entertainment and value for my money, and that is not gonna be that's not gonna be produced by having a checklist, an even balance, making sure that it's exactly 50-50. The word is called millimeter justice in Sweden, where you cut up the cake and the slices have to be exactly the same size, or people will get really anal about it. I'm sorry, this has been a lot of very random ramblings about this, but I just can't stand this idiotic bullshit. Is it just me, or are women getting a lot more space than they really deserve? I mean, we are really trying to get women to participate in these things. We have special programs, and wherever you turn, you can go to LinkedIn, you can go to Facebook, you can go to any of these big social media sites, and you have groups specially designed for women. Now, the majority of users on Facebook are already women. Why would they need a women group? Why would they need something that focuses more on women? Shouldn't it be more important to try and include more men? The same with universities. We've had, for 35, 40 years, these special women's scholarship. Women only, women this, women into the education, women into learning, women into STEM projects we have now. But 60% plus of all the diplomas, of all the graduates, are women already. But we have none of these helping programs for men. Check out Christina Hoff Sommers on that. And she has really written some quite good books, articles, and done some good videos about how men are being left behind, because we're still focusing on giving women every special resources to help them in, but they are already majority everywhere. They are well over 60%, as I already said, on university education, on getting degrees, on getting the diplomas. 60% of all the degrees are taken by women. Now, I understand that this is part of the feminist dogma, idiocy, whatever you want, because wherever you turn, feminists will shout, "Oh, we're being the biggest victims of assault and domestic abuse and da 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 da." But now that numbers have started pouring out, we're seeing that domestic abuse, women are actually dishing out 40% of it instead. That's the only point in society where I can almost find that men and women are actually equal in who is being the biggest douchebag in the domestic household. I don't know. What are your thoughts about this? All I know is the top 100 films bullshit is... As I said, bullshit. Redundant trying to explain myself. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around this stupidity, and I know I'm not as eloquent as my big heroes here on YouTube are, but I'm hoping that you like, subscribe, leave feedback, let me know if I'm going over the top of being wrong somewhere, because I value honesty. I value the facts and I value the truths, and if you can bring them, fine. You might actually convince me that I'm wrong on certain things, because I'm at least open-minded. I'm not swallowing all the indoctrination that is being fed. And I know there is a lot of indoctrination being fed towards the MRAs, the MGTOWs, or whatever you call them. I do not identify as any of them. I just want to put that out there. I'm more keen and more interested in learning and knowing what the truth is. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Peace out.